Well, I'm an actor. I'm Stephen Tobolowsky. I'm an actor and a writer, pretty much, and married to this one.
And I'm Anne Tobolowsky, an actress and director.
And how do each of you define achievement?
Achievement, boy. Okay, this is what I would say, is achievement is one of those words that doesn't really have a definition. And this is the trick. People who torture themselves over achievement try to give achievement a definition. Achievement changes throughout the day. Like we have found particularly that some days we can't do anything. But Anne has developed an achievement angle for that kind of a day. And you say,
Oh, just that on days that I just can't seem to get anything accomplished, that are just wasted. I've learned that generally a day like that precedes a day that's very productive. So not necessarily, maybe productive is a little different than achievement, but just because there's a lag or a down day doesn't mean failure. It just means it's still in process.
and in the course of a day, I'll change my definition of achievement all the time. And I always change the definition to make sure I achieve. I don't make it a moot point. Well, did I achieve anything today? I always try to phrase the question to where I succeed.
And tell me about growing up. What was expected of you? What was growing up like?
Well, I think that what was expected of me was not something that I was clear on, because there were a few times when I got a message of what was expected and I was like, what? Really?
Like,
For example, I think it may have been when I was married the first time. I got married very young, and my father, who is a very, very dear man and very sweet soul, said something to my mother once about, well, I knew it would be a waste to send her to college. You know, she would just end up getting married. And I was like, what? You think that? I never heard that. I never got that message. If that was what was expected of me, you know, I never got it. So I think the expectation for me would be that I would be happy and that I would find something to do and that I would be good at it. And I think I had the same expectation for myself to a certain degree. It just took a while to find what made me happy.
what about you, Stephen?
I think I grew up in Texas in like the 1950s.
God help you.
Yes, please. And I'm thinking like that's 50s and 60s. So in fact, Ann and I were talking about this just the other night. The expectations on men at the time were just as rigid as the expectations on women. You expect, well, as a woman, you're going to, go out, you're going to get married, you're going to have children, or you're going to be a nurse, a ballerina, or a secretary. Back in the 50s, those were the options. Oh, also school teacher. But for men, it was you're going to go to, at least you're going to graduate high school. College was not a requirement then. You're going to graduate from high school. You're going to be in the military. That was an obligation. And as young boys, we thought like, well, which branch of the service do we want to be in? And I wanted to be either in the Air Force or the Marines.
Okay.
Was the one I picked. And so that was my set of expectations. And then I grew up and Vietnam happened. And we thought, well, I'm sure as hell not going to go there. If I have to go to Canada, I'll go to Canada, but I'm not going there. And then I fell in love. And all of my expectations of everything sort of changed. And I thought what my life is going to be about a love-centered relationship with this person. And any work that happens, any study that happens, anything will be secondary to this love. This love is going to be the most important thing there is. And that was an achievement. I felt that was an achievement when we ended up together, because I didn't know if she wanted to be together. And that was kind of an achievement. And certainly when that relationship fell apart, I did feel the feeling of failure that you feel when you do not achieve. Yes, so when you do not achieve, you do feel that emptiness and you feel you came short. And that's a hard thing to overcome.
So both of you have a broken heart.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So here's something I'm interested in recently. That achievement of love, achieving that loving relationship, you are making your achievement dependent on someone else.
You could say that, but there's another big element on this, and don't let me horn in. If you have an obligation to treat the other as holy in a loving relationship. The other has to be holy. That requires a lot of work on your part. That is why those wedding vows that seem so simple, sickness and in health, better for worse, those things are huge tasks, Olympian tasks to accomplish, but they're on you. They're not on the other person. You have used the other person as a point of what you want, but in doing so, you have to do the work to say, I am here for you. And that is a lot of effort.
How do I say, it's an ongoing process. It's not like you find love and then you have love and it's just a matter of keeping it in some way. It's every day is a renewal, I think. That you look for ways to find and show a respect for the other person, for their dreams and needs and hopes and cares, and you will get that back. If you don't get that back, if it doesn't go both ways, then I don't think it can succeed for long. So I think the trick, I don't know if there is a trick. I think the more you focus on what you can bring to the party as opposed to what am I getting from this, because you never really feel like you get enough, I don't think, or get enough at the right time. But are you doing your part? I would agree with that. But it's an easy thing to do when you feel the other person respects you and gives honor and respect to you. Then it's just part of like sharing anything.
In life, like in a marriage, you have ongoing crises, and there are always things that go wrong. And people, by nature, have very, very little ability to understand another person's problems. It doesn't matter how sensitive someone is. Nobody understands what it's like to live in your skin. No one understands what it's like I say, like I've hurt my hip and I'm taking like pain medication here in Edinburgh. Nobody knows what that pain's like except me. And nobody knows what that pain medication does to me except me. And the difficulty I have. Now, Anne can empathize to a certain point and going like, well, I know you're having trouble. But she doesn't really know what I'm going through. Yeah. Even though she sleeps next to me, she doesn't know what I'm going through. But she'll look at me as she turns over in the middle of the night and they'll just say, half asleep, are you all right? Do you need anything? Now, it is an ongoing series of crises. And so part of it is there is no such thing as maintaining.
Good crisis management together.
You have to listen. You have to listen well, and you have to be inventive. You have to be imaginative, because each day does not come with an answer. You have to figure out the answer of every day.
Well, I think that I was closer to 30. I was well into my 20s before I figured out that I wanted to be an actor, and that it was sort of the last resort. You know, it wasn't like, I always wanted to do it, but it was not a choice I embraced. I avoided it. And when I finally came to the conclusion in my late 20s that that's what I wanted to do, that it was very clear to me that that was the path I wanted to take. And it was frustrating when that path was difficult, or I didn't know what the next step to do would be, but I always knew what the next step was. And then when I had a family, that was more complicated, because my theory before that was I would just say yes to everything. I would do everything, no matter what. That I would learn from it, if nothing else, or I would meet people that would either turn out to be friends or business associates or help me in some way. And I had to learn to balance with a family of like, well, if you can't say yes to everything that in your dreams, because if I did, then I would be away from my family all the time, which wasn't what I wanted either. That I had to ask myself, where's your priority right now? You know, what is more important to you? Is it more important to do this project? Is it more important to be available for the family? And I found that I regret the times I picked the project rather than being with the family more than I regretted the other way around. Maybe I just didn't get that great at projects. Maybe my career wasn't that fascinating or challenging. But I think once I decided that my family was my priority, then I found I had other creative outlets that were fulfilling. I found I had more opportunities actually to act or direct with better projects, more fulfilling things. So it was almost like by saying, no, I won't follow my dream 100%. It was like a roundabout way of getting everything. By not trying to get everything, I got more.
Having it all means not working so hard.
I think having it all means not trying to get it all, being satisfied with less and ending up with more.